Hi everyone. So I wanted to talk about New York City culture, and I made you watch a video on what not to do in New York, and I thought it would be funny, so that's why I wanted you to watch the video, but also let's talk about it a little bit. So she mentions some good points, right? Don't walk too slow. It annoys the people from the city. Don't stop in the middle of the sidewalk because usually it's very crowded and people don't want to walk around you because then you have to bump into other people. So one of the things I wanted to say too about that, right? Because New York City is a very busy, crowded city, something that is important is if someone accidentally bumps into you or touches you, right? And it's not on purpose, it's a mistake, right? Then you have to say, "Excuse me." This is just to be polite. Another thing, it's be careful of where you go shopping. They have some. So she said, tourist traps. So if you go to Times Square, there might be people trying to sell you things, and they'll be overpriced, right? They'll be very expensive. I'm gonna write this down. Tourist trap. Okay, so, and usually the quality isn't very good, right? So they're trying to like take your money, basically. Another thing she mentions is the food, right? So New York City has a big, diverse cultural population and many amazing restaurants. So try not to go to only Popeyes or only Taco Bell or Wendy's. Like, you should try to taste some of the authentic food in these restaurants or trucks, right? So there's a lot of great, like one of our students was talking about a shawarma restaurant, and there's sushi restaurants like for Japanese food, good Mexican or Latin American food, right? Salvadorian restaurants. And so also don't forget to tip. So if you, right now because of COVID, we're not really sitting inside, right? But if you ever have someone serving you, it is customary to tip. So she mentions 15 to 20% tip. I know in some cultures, right, when I went to Europe, I went to Spain, and I was told that it's not very customary to leave such a big tip. Like a few euros is good enough. And maybe it depends on what part of Spain. But in New York City, this is the culture. And I wanted to mention another thing. So I was watching another video about this boy who moved. So he's from England, moved to Japan, and now is living in New York City. And he was talking about something called culture shock. So I thought this would be interesting for you guys. So culture shock. Okay, so culture shock means when you move to a new place, right? And the culture is surprising to you, or something about the culture is surprising to you. Like, you never expected it. So, like, for example, he said how he thinks that in New York, there is, like, the customer service isn't so good. And that in Japan, you know, people are really go out of their way to help you. So his idea of New York may not be the same as yours. So maybe in your culture from back home, the customer service is not as good as here. I don't know. But there are always differences, right, between the culture. So here we are very fast paced. A lot of people don't really want to have long conversations. We want to work. We want to get to the next place. Like, we're busy, right? We have a meeting, or I have to get to work, so I can't really take my time and talk to you and say hi, like if I'm going to the store, right? And having a nice long conversation. It's very short. So in other countries, you can kind of take a little bit of your time to stop and talk to people. And it's not even just in other countries. Even here in the United States, in other parts of the country, when I would go visit maybe other states, people were, in my opinion, a lot more talkative, a little friendlier. And I'm not saying that I think New York City residents aren't friendly. They are, but they're way, like, they're always busy. They just want to keep moving. And another, I'm trying to think of another thing. He did say that he thought that people in New York City are not so friendly to strangers, but they're very friendly to their friends, right? And I kind of believe this. Again, when I go to other places in the United States, when I would go walking in the morning, people will wave at me and say hi, and they're strangers. I've never met them before. Hi, good morning. And I would look at them like, do I know you? And then I realized, oh, it's just, this is the culture here, right? You say good morning in the morning to strangers. So this is the idea of, what is normal in New York City, right? How do people act? And I think this would be fun to talk about or write about. So tell me things that shocked you about when you first came to New York City. So tell me about your culture shock. What is the difference between people here and people in your country, or where you're from, or other places you lived? It doesn't have to just be your hometown. So I'm gonna write some questions in the assignment, and you have to answer them. Okay. All right. Have fun writing. Bye.